Hi, welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. This is Dianne, your lactation consultant.
And I'm Abby, the Badass Breastfeeder. And today's episode is brought to you by Fairhaven Health. Fairhaven Health sells the wildly popular Milk Saver that has moms raving about how much milk they are collecting by simply collecting their leaking breast milk. And today's episode is also brought to you by Original Sprout. Original Sprout carries safe, effective, and pediatrician-tested shampoos, conditioners, styling, and body care products produced and packed in California. And we'll hear more from our sponsors later, but I want to remind you that we do have transcripts now, and we have an email list that you can enter at badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com. You'll find the transcripts by the play button on each episode, and you will find our email list. Scroll to the bottom and you can enter your email, and we will send you our episode every Monday Monday, and you won't have to remember, because who wants to remember things?
I know. We're getting so grown up. Like, we have such a big girl podcast now. We've got transcripts.
And I don't know if you guys noticed, but Dianne plugged in her microphone.
Woohoo! Yes.
Yeah, well, I know.
It was plugged in. It just wasn't on the right output.
So if you have been experiencing audio issues for a while now, we are working very hard to fix those, and they should be getting better. And we should be sounding like we're in the big leagues now.
I know, because
we finally put on our big girl podcast panties.
Yes, they say badass all over them.
You have our review of the week, I imagine.
Yeah, I do, and I love this. I love this name. I could be saying it wrong, but it's Hap Stoner, which I just think that's fun anyway.
Awesome.
First time mama. Thank you so much, ladies. I'm a first time mom. I know I wanted to breastfeed in the hospital. They were afraid my baby girl had low sugar. They kept trying to take her to the nursery to feed her formula. I stuck to my guns, did not allow them to feed her formula, stuck to my guns, and wanted to give her what she needed. I did have an emergency C-section, so I needed her skin to skin with me so we can get my body moving. In less than 24 hours, she was doing great. Thank you so much for the info. This makes me more confident. So congratulations to you. I love that people listen to this and it makes them confident and able to really voice their opinions and stick to their guns, I think that's amazing. And that's what we want. We want you guys to really be able to be like, no, I know this is the right thing for my baby and for me, and this is what I want to do. So good for you. That's awesome. And if you want to send us a review, send it to iTunes, because that really helps us a lot. Or if you don't have iTunes, you can send us an email, badassbreastfeedingpodcast@gmail.com. And we will read it, and we'd love to hear from you. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's what I got for my thing.
Cool. Yeah. We have a cool episode today for preparing for your first day of breastfeeding.
Yes.
Right?
So I made a list. I made a list.
Dianne made a list.
I made a list. And I was making this list. I was like, this is not the list that people are going to want to hear. I don't think, because I think you think, okay, great. Give me the 5 things that I need to do to be off to this great breastfeeding start. But the 5 things that I decided were the important things, I think aren't really, they might not even necessarily be breastfeeding related. Right. So,
right.
So let's go. The first one is feed the baby. Right. Duh. But what I mean by that is, don't let anybody say to you, you just fed the baby, you don't need to feed the baby again. Or your baby needs to eat again. Didn't you just feed your baby? Or your baby only needs to eat every 2 hours. Why is your baby eating again? Or your baby only needs to eat every 3 hours. Why are you feeding the baby again? Feed your baby whenever you want to feed your baby. Latch your baby all the time. Because in the beginning, that makes a huge difference. One, for your baby who is connecting with you. They were just born. They need that connection. They need that trust. They need that security. They need to feel you. They need to hear your heartbeat. That's where they want to be. 2, it does great things for your milk supply that is getting ready to come in. So just keep latching your baby. It's totally fine. Your baby is not starving. Your baby will want to feed. Your baby will want to be there for many reasons other than feeding. Just feed your baby. That's all you need to worry about. Really, that's your only job. And
Yeah, and
recovery.
don't fall into that nonsense of like, oh my God, I need to do this and I need to do that and I'm not doing enough and I just sat on the couch all day and I shouldn't be doing that. I'm lazy. No,
Mm-mm.
you have one job and that is to feed your baby. Don't get
Right.
up unless you want to.
Right.
And don't feel
Which,
guilty about it.
right.
Push all that away because that's just nonsense.
You only get this time once.
Yeah.
You only get it once. And it's what your baby needs. If you just listen to your baby and your body, that's all you need to do. Really, it's all you need to do. So feed the baby. That's my number one thing. Hold the baby. That's my other thing. So what that means is hold your baby. Don't let anybody question why you're holding your baby. Don't let other people take your baby. Don't let people question why you're constantly holding your baby. You should put your baby down. You shouldn't hold your baby to sleep. You shouldn't hold your baby to connect with your baby and keep your baby close to you. That's really important in those early days. It really is. I can't even stress that enough.
Yeah, and people will come by and they'll be like, you're going to teach them a bad habit. They need to learn to be independent. You need to you need to put them down sometimes. People will say this to you.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
I mean, they'll say like, you shouldn't be holding your baby that much. That's too much. They're going to get clingy. They're not going to learn how to self-soothe. They're not going to blah blah blah. Oh my God. People just need to shut up. It's so
It's ridiculous.
because you have that like they even do research now on like how like people pay money to do research on like how it's good to hold your baby. Like, good God.
Yeah.
Where have we come?
I know. And that's something like eventually we're going to do a podcast on that. I found this hilarious study on like how holding your baby is good. But it's like
a funded research project.
Yeah.
Like a funded
and it's like a 16-page study that neither one of us have read yet because we have other things to do. So, and we already know that holding your baby is important. So we haven't read that study yet. But eventually we're going to read it and we're going to tear it apart and we're going to laugh and we're going to talk about it on a podcast because this is important. And when I worked in the hospital, I remember saying to people, oh, have you been able to do some skin to skin? Like, and these were for babies that weren't feeding well. Did you do some skin to skin? Oh, well, I was going to, but we have company coming. Oh, well, I was going to, but somebody else wanted to hold the baby. Oh, well, yeah. No, this is your baby. People will get over it. It's okay to not hand your newborn, brand spanking new baby to other people. And I'm not saying like, to like, hiss at people and stuff and make them go away. Like, people want to be helpful and they want to ooh and ah over your baby, but you can feel okay to say, I'm not comfortable with other people holding the baby yet. That's okay. But do not be afraid to hold your babies. Lots of skin to skin, lots of connection time, because that's what they need. They need you. And sometimes people go, oh, the baby cries if somebody else holds them. The baby's too connected to you. Now the baby only wants you. You're the mom. That's how it's supposed to be. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's not a bad sign. It's a good sign.
It's not. Yeah, it is. It's a good
normal,
sign.
Totally normal thing.
And honestly, like the more the baby connects with you, the more independent they are moving forward.
That's just the bottom line.
Yeah. And I know it sounds like it's, counterintuitive, but it's not. Like that's what happens. The more you respond to your baby, the more independent they will be. Because they know you're not going anywhere. They're with you all the time. You're responding to their needs all the time. They become very secure children. So and adults, yes. It goes with them into adulthood, believe it or not. It really does.
And into their future relationships. And
the
relationships that they have. And then the relationships with their children. And then this is how we talk about healing the world with, parenting and healing generations of trauma with parenting.
Mm-hmm.
Because it changes everything. It changes the relationships people have with each other and their environment.
It just, yeah. If more people did this, it would really make a difference.
Yeah.
Like overall. So that is my number 2 thing, is to hold your baby. My number 3 thing, I get on my soapbox about this a lot, is no pumping unless absolutely necessary. And when I say absolutely necessary, I mean your baby separated from you for some reason. Maybe they were early. Maybe they have jaundice. They have to go under lights. Something. There's some reason why the two of you are separated. Then that's obviously a reason you need to pump. Your baby isn't gaining weight well for whatever reason, and they're telling you to supplement. That is when we need to pump because we want to be able to give the baby breast milk instead of formula for supplementing, if possible. That is a reason to pump. Just because you're going back to work at some point in the future, so you want to start pumping on day 3 of your baby's life, no, that's not necessary. Stay home, relax. Like Abby said, sit on your couch. You do not need to pump that early in the game. And it causes problems. It's one more thing to do. It can cause an oversupply issue, which is a huge problem. And you're spending time bonding with a pump. Who wants to do that? Just don't worry about it. Don't pump yet. You don't need to.
Right.
And I know you were never really a pumper either. So it's like,
No, but I was pumping when I with Jack, when I had Jack and I was in the hospital and they told me that I wasn't making enough milk and I needed to supplement with formula. I started pumping. I was like, oh my God, my milk's not coming in. I need to make milk. So I was like giving him formula because they told me to. And then I was pumping to try to get my milk to come in. And how insane is that?
oh my gosh, I know. And people I have moms that just start doing it. Like they go home and they're like, oh yeah, I started pumping. It's like,
yeah, because
why?
there's just there's this total belief in you even see it like on, people like registries or whatever. Like I'm having a baby and then okay, here's a pump. It's like, well, wait a minute. Why are we buying a pump? First of all, you do not need a pump in order to successfully breastfeed.
No,
You need a pump if you need to spend time away from your baby, but it's not an automatic breastfeeding need. But I think that we think that.
Yeah.
I think that's a popular common thought.
I think, yeah, absolutely. And people say, oh, well, I want to be able to let somebody else feed. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to have, your partner, a grandparent, whatever, feed the baby eventually, that's fine. But you don't need to do that on day 3 of their life. Like it's not necessary. Just try to relax. But we see all these things on social media about you have to have all this milk stored away. You have to start pumping early. Sometimes people will be like, oh, I had a milk supply problem from day 1, so I needed a pump. And people are like, oh my gosh, I don't want to have a milk supply problem from day 1, so I'm just going to start pumping from day 1. You don't know that person or what their story is. So if you feel that that new mom anxiety of should I be pumping? I'm not sure what to do. Talk to a lactation consultant. Talk to them. Have them watch your baby feed. Have them tell you what's going on and help you to feel better about this and make a plan of when to start. But you don't need to be doing it as soon as you get home from the hospital. You really don't. It's not necessary. You have time. Unless you're one of those people that unfortunately has to start back at work very, 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 very early, like within 2 weeks. And then that's horrific. But that's a whole different story. So try not to do that. You don't need to pump. Let's take a break before I do these last 2.
Okay. Today's episode is brought to you by Original Sprout. Original Sprout carries safe, effective, and pediatrician-tested shampoos, conditioners, styling, and body care products produced and packed in California, USA. Their hair and body baby wash is made with gentle moisturizing ingredients such as organic calendula and refreshing rosemary extract. Rosemary helps stimulate scalp circulation and calm cradle cap and eczema. This hair and body baby wash is ideal for babies, children, and adults alike. All of Original Sprout products are paraben and phthalate free, vegan and cruelty-free. Their proprietary formulas contain nourishing extracts from fruit, vegetables, and flowers that the whole family can enjoy. They are not just for babies anymore. Check out the entire line at originalsprout.com and use code BADASS for 25% off your order. Originalsprout.com, code BADASS, 25% off.
Oh my God, I'm going there now.
And today's episode is also brought to you by Fairhaven Health. The Milky's Milk Saver collects your leaking breast milk as you nurse or pump, allowing you to store extra breast milk effortlessly with each feeding. Simply slide the Milk Saver into your bra or tank on the non-nursing side. The Milk Saver collects the breast milk that is leaked when your breast milk lets down. Then simply transfer the milk into a storage bag. The Milk Saver holds a little over 2 ounces of breast milk. People are constantly shocked at how much milk they are leaking, and we're losing to a breast pad. People are reporting that they are collecting several ounces a day and sometimes a whole day's worth of breast milk. It's common to think that you are just leaking a few drops, but when the leaking breast milk is collected throughout the day, it adds up to a lot of milk. It's comfortable, durable, and reusable, and has a protective lid to prevent spills. Check out the Milk Saver at Fairhaven Health, that's FAIRHAVEN health.com, and use promo code BADASS for 10% off of your purchase. Badass, 10% off at Fairhaven Health. And all of our episodes and our... I lost my sheet. All of our, here we go. All of our sponsors and their links can be found at badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com. You can head to the show notes under this particular episode. You'll find links, the promo codes in case you missed it. You will find on badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com, you will find all of our breastfeeding resources. You will find all of our other episodes, and you will find information about scheduling your very own online face-to-face lactation consultation with Dianne.
Absolutely.
And
we have a shout out.
We do have a shout out. Our shout out of the week goes to the Black Birth Experience. BBX is what they call themselves. Their mission is to bring awareness to the Black Birth Experience by honoring the work of Black birth workers and empowering the Black birthing community. You can find them on Instagram with, again, a beautiful and informative and educational feed. And you can find them also at blackbirthexperience.org about all of the services and information and resources that they have. And that's it.
Awesome. Love it.
So we were talking about tips for your first day of nursing.
Yes. My next one is to ask for help and to ask questions. And this, I feel, is really, really important, especially in those early days, because you're brand new mom, right? Like, you're a brand new mom. And I don't care if it's your 18th baby. Like, they're all different.
Mm-hmm.
You don't remember those early days, like, and these are things I hear all the time. And maybe you're thinking, like, maybe you have one baby and you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, next baby, I'm going to know exactly what to do. The second baby or the third baby or the fourth baby, like, you forget what happens in those early days. You really do. And then those moms will come in and they'll be like, I forgot about this part, like, so ask questions. And especially if it's your first baby, people assume you know what to do. And I see this every single day. I see this. And moms will tell me, nobody told me that. Nobody told me that in the hospital. Nobody told me that I should wake my baby up and not let him go 6 or 7 hours without feeding when they're first born. Nobody told me that I should try to burp them. Nobody told me how to position, because the staff at the hospital, they do this every day, all day. You're their 18th person that day, but this is your first one. They don't tell you these things because they assume you know, which is wrong, because you don't, and they should just assume nobody knows. But and I worked there. I know exactly, like, I see it all the time. And I see these moms coming out of the hospital being like, nobody told me that my baby was going to be sleepy. I didn't know, I didn't know that was what happens. I didn't know that, jaundice makes them sleepy. I didn't know, so ask questions. Do not be afraid to do that at all. If somebody says to you, we need to supplement your baby because we're afraid that their blood sugar is low, ask them why. Ask them what the blood sugar should be. Ask them if they tested the blood sugar. Ask them, can you breastfeed instead? And will that, you don't have to just blindly say, oh, okay. All right. Yes, I'll do that. Absolutely. Ask questions, because you're not going to know otherwise. And that's really, really important for you to be educated on what's going on with your baby. Definitely ask if you're not sure of what they're telling you.
Yeah, there's a lot of things they're not going to offer you, especially in a hospital. They're not going to say like, "Oh, expect this and expect that."
No, they're not
They're
there to
just like,
teach you.
"Go home." No, they don't offer a lot of information. And like a lot of times you don't even know what to ask. It's like that's why I don't even know if it was this episode or the last episode when we were talking about somebody was listening while they were pregnant. And
Mm-hmm.
like, because then you just like you're more prepared. And of course, if you didn't and you now have a baby, it's not too late to learn. But it's so confusing because you just don't. You're not given. If you're not, we don't see people breastfeeding. We don't see people caring for babies in our society. So
Mm-mm.
we are just like starting fresh when we hold a baby. It's just like the first time that we're ever exposed to this. So we don't even know how they're supposed to act. We don't know what to do at all.
You don't know what's normal.
No, right.
And especially now in the middle of this pandemic, I have moms that are leaving the hospital in 24 hours,
Yeah.
like with a C-section, being sent home. Babies aren't feeding well, and it's just like they're just going home because they don't want to be in the hospital, which I don't blame them. Nobody wants to be in the hospital. And they're trying to get people out and moving, but it's like you don't nobody knows what they're doing, and then you go home and you're kind of like isolated at home. So ask questions. That's really important to just be able to like ask questions and ask for help. Do not be afraid to ask for help. And that's for like when you're home. That is when you're, if you are in the hospital, if you had a hospital birth or whatever, like ask. Put that call light on. Have them come in and help you. Ask them. Like that's definitely a big, big part of learning everything that's going on with your baby. And then when you're home, ask for help. Like ask for people to help you. If you have people that are designated, they're safe, they're healthy, they can come over and help you. Don't let them come over and just sit there and hold your baby. Have them help you. Have people, deliver groceries to you. Put it at your door if you don't want people to come in. Ask for help because you want to be able to recover, have the time to recover, have the time to just sit around and enjoy your baby. And for some reason, I feel like we're too afraid to ask for the help because we want everybody to think like we can just do it all, right? Like, because we're super
Well, it's
people.
also not, it's also a part of our society that's not very like, it's not, it's like taboo to need things to ask for help. Like
Right.
you're just, I need help. Can somebody help me? It's just like, oh, you're weak. You can't do it yourself. Like we have this totally individualistic, like I'm, independent focused society that is like you're weak if you ask for help.
But you're
We have
not.
people No, and we have people doing everything that are parenting day and night, awake day and night, going to work, up all night. Like this is not normal. I mean, it's normal, but it's not healthy. It's not this is like and people are just, it's hard to ask for help and then where is there
Right.
to get help?
And
Like
it shouldn't be normal, honestly.
no.
It should not be normal. You should be able to get help and you should be able to get unbiased help. You shouldn't have people that are coming in to help you commenting or putting down your parenting decisions and saying things to you like, oh, you shouldn't be breastfeeding so much, or oh, you shouldn't be doing this, or oh, you shouldn't be eating that. No, they are there to help you.
They should be there to follow orders.
Right. Have a list. That sounds terrible. Like when I used to teach
No.
childbirth classes and stuff like that, I used to be like, have a list. If people want to come over, they can do those things. They
There's things like that around. There's like these little sheets that are like when you come to visit the baby. And it's like things that you need to do when you walk in, like wash your hands, whatever, whatever. And then there's like a checklist of tasks and you have to sign up for one of them. And
right,
people like you can hand it to people who come over. They have to do the things and they have to pick something like take out the trash, do a load of laundry, do the dishes. Like, you can have people just come in if they want to come by, sure. And you have to pick something to do for me.
right. There's
And
nothing
you
wrong with
shouldn't
that.
have to ask people to do this. I
No.
mean, we should just live in a culture that's like bending over backwards to take care of new parents. I mean, we
Hmm.
don't. So then it's like, oh, here's these new tricks that we can get people to like do stuff for us. It's insane.
Especially, I mean, and this is for any birth at all. I don't care what it was, but especially with a C-section delivery. Like,
Yeah.
especially. And especially if it's a C-section delivery that you were not expecting to have, which is the majority of C-section deliveries. Because and I was a C-section delivery with my twins, and it was an expected delivery. But I also had a 2-year-old that was running around,
Ugh.
which is not easy to do with a C-section delivery. That is major surgery. It
Yeah.
is major abdominal surgery. My only bathroom in that house was upstairs. Like, if you weren't expecting to have a C-section and now you go home, you need to bring everything from upstairs downstairs if you have an upstairs downstairs house. You know, if you don't have everything on one level, you need to bring the diapers down. You need to bring the, everything that you need right there so you can stay with the baby all the time and not have to worry about going to get things. I mean, that's people need to help you. That is really important. You should not be expected to do everything. It just shouldn't be. It's just
No.
people should be like, "Oh, you're doing great. You're doing fine. You can do all these things." No. That is, I mean, and it's like now, like a lot of times partners go back to work pretty quickly. It's just like
Hmm.
that's
If
you sh-
partners are off at all.
right, if they're off at all and you're stuck there by yourself. No, people should be helping. It takes a village. It really does. It takes a village of support. And
And
I
we
mean,
don't live in that village setting anymore, so you have to create it. And, if you don't and you're super overwhelmed, then, it's not that you're doing something wrong. It's just that this is undoable.
mhm.
You can't do everything.
Like I feel like we see that village sometimes, like if people die, which is a horrible thing to say. But like if somebody passes away in your family, people will bring food, people will set up a meal train, people will send you cards, people will, reach out to you. How are you? Is everything okay? What do you need? Blah, blah, blah. But when a baby's born, we don't do that. Like, come on.
I know. That's crazy.
It is. It's crazy. My last one is to be kind to yourself. And that is a really important thing to remember. It really is, because parenting is hard. Being a mom is hard. And if you're coming home with a baby, you're tired, you're, probably sore, you're trying to figure out what to do. And we tend to put a lot of judgment on ourselves, no matter what it is. The baby's crying, I must have done something wrong. The baby's not eating well, I must have done something wrong. If you have other children, oh my gosh, I'm not paying enough attention to my other child. I'm not good enough. Like, it is really, really hard to feel okay. But it's really important to know that, like, you're doing great. Like, it's fine. And you need to
Yeah.
really be
All this
kind to
stuff is,
yourself.
yeah, all that stuff is normal. It's normal to feel like completely defeated and tired and exhausted, and you feel like your body has just been run over by a truck. And, there's so much of this, like, just disdain for that in this culture. Just like, ugh, get yourself together, put your
I
makeup
know.
on, do your hair. No, God, stop it.
And we look on social media where everything looks
Uh-huh.
perfect. Everything's perfect looking. Oh my gosh, look at, me. I've done all these great things today, and I've, done this and that, and my house is perfect. And I mean, I worry about those moms, honestly. Like the moms that I talk to where like everything's great and my house is clean and I'm doing this and da da da. It's like, oh my gosh, something's wrong there. Like it should not be like that. Like, and that is one of the things that I get irritated with social media, is that like so many things are not portrayed as it usually as it is, and it's
Right. And
the
we're
parent.
not being honest.
No.
I mean, I see this is a lot of times why I shy away from sharing like the professional photos, even though I do love them and I've certainly had plenty of them done of me. And I love them, but like they're very like they're not they don't often tell, sometimes they do, but they don't often tell like the reality of it.
Mm-hmm.
I like to share the photos that people share that are just like they took themselves, or somebody on the couch, their partner took them while they were standing there. And you could see, so people can kind of normalize, we can see what life actually looks like.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like completely manicured.
And it just shouldn't
No,
be.
it doesn't. No, it doesn't need to be.
So be kind to yourself. That's a really important piece. It's okay to have those breakdowns. Like sometimes people will be like, oh, I just had a breakdown yesterday. I'm like, you only had one? Because, I probably had 12 and I'm not a new, it's like, that's okay. Like it's really okay. This is hard. It's new and it's hard and it takes time. And I say a lot of times to new parents, your baby is only however many days old. Like we need to cut everybody some slack and like just get used to each other and be kind to yourself, especially because it's okay. The expectations, our mothers now have expectations that are through the roof. And it's not necessary. We don't need that. We just need a mom and a baby to be connected to each other. That's all. That's the only expectation we want. And, that'll happen. So that's it. That's my list. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to give you these great tips to like make breastfeeding a breeze. But those are things that I think are really, really important to remember.
Those are really important. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.